Would you like to be somebody who understands why so many people are not passionate about the work they do nowadays? Then listen to this entire video where I explain how a lot of the jobs that exist in today's world do not resonate with, let's say, the genome and the human genome, because the human genome anticipates certain behaviors and certain environmental stimuli, very ancient stimuli, because we are ancient beings, and how this modern world does not resonate with that ancient human genome. So before we get into this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Let's get into it. So I've talked with many adults about their work and their jobs, and I especially like to ask the question whether their job brings them fulfillment or meaning in life. Usually people don't trumpet that their job is meaningless. They don't they don't openly say it immediately, but they indicate that it is not necessarily bringing them a lot of fulfillment, or they're not passionate about their job. Now, I don't want to criticize that these people are sticking with meaningless jobs. I understand how important it is to earn money and secure a stable income, especially if you have a family. I remember during my internship, I did it at an asset management firm, so the financial industry, and I asked a lot of people, or a fair amount of people, and a lot of them said that their work wasn't really fulfilling, let's say. But the thing is, the salaries in the financial industry are simply a lot higher than other industries because it's a high profit margin industry. Now, in my personal case, during my studies, so in my personal case, I just finished my master's degree in finance and investments, and I'm now strategizing my next step in life, which will probably entail looking for a job. During my studies, there was a lecture where the professor asked something like, how many people in this room are studying finance because they want to earn money, or how many people want to earn a lot of money? And essentially almost everybody put up their hand. It was something like that. And it kind of indicated, well, these people are probably here not because they're passionate about finance, which I can understand why they're not passionate, but that they're doing it because they want to earn money. Now, obviously, I would like a job that is meaningful, and I want to earn a lot of money. But yet, looking at others who work in finance, many of them choose their job because of the money. So I've dwelled for quite a while on the question of why finance or many other jobs nowadays are not fulfilling and meaningful to people. And I think I have gradually understood why. And here is why. Here is why so many people are not passionate about the work they do. And I will specifically take the example of the financial industry, but it can be substituted for many other industries nowadays. The realm of finance is quite abstract and detached from the biological configuration of humans. Finance is too abstract for the basic human instinct to resonate with. The human genome is quite rigid, so the DNA, the genetics of humans, they're quite rigid. The genome anticipates you to act out certain narratives in life, like finding a sexual partner in order to ensure the propagation of your genes to keep the species alive. It's always about survival. Now, these narratives are the products of thousands of years of evolution, which have molded the human genome as a consequence of humans being subjected to specific environmental stimuli. So there was an environment which is, threatening, and humans need to adapt themselves to the environment in order to survive. So they absorb the stimuli, and it gets coded over vast periods of time, expanses of time, into the genome. So the genome then starts to anticipate and sort of instinctually understands how to maneuver through the environment in order to survive. And the environmental stimuli have been relatively constant, I think. However, on a very sort of superficial, basic level, they've been quite constant, I think. I'm not an environmental evolutionary biologist, so yeah. However, the rapid digital advancements of the last 50 years have radically redesigned the environmental stimuli we are subjected to, and they have shifted at a speed to which the human genome cannot, let's say, react fast enough. Hence, what has occurred is that we live in a foreign modern environment which is occupied by humans who are still biologically configured to exist in sort of the ancient environment. I would put it like that. Now, the domain of finance is a byproduct of this world. Obviously, banks have existed for hundreds of years, but the way the current state of financial markets, the way that is they are configured with trading platforms, trading derivatives, and with funds, portfolios, it's completely different to the business banks were running hundreds of years ago. Now, with this primal, ancient, archetypal biology of the humans alive today, the variables needed to experience fulfillment, a sense of passion and meaning, are also archetypal and primal. The variables needed are archetypal and primal. Here's a very basic example. Humans nowadays still need a sense of belonging, I think, in order to feel fulfillment. Something like a tribe. A tribe, that's ancient. You need to go on adventures and leave your comfort zone. A bit like a warrior who goes out on a hunt. That's also an archetypal concept. Adolescents need to leave the bird's nest, of their parents and take responsibility for themselves in order to grow up and take that step into adulthood. Kind of like an initiation process of entering the forest alone and having to hunt and fend for yourself. All these processes are still anticipated by the human genome alive today, despite being ancient. So I think you might know where this is going now. Well, does finance fall into the archetypal narrative that is anticipated by the genome? Well, it's essentially the topic of finance doesn't really, I think. The topic of finance does not resonate as a variable needed to feel and find fulfillment. And this goes for a large portion of jobs, whether it's consulting, supply chain management, or tech programming. Of course, people can find enjoyment in the management side of these jobs, like they enjoy managing teams. But I still think for a lot of people that the actual tasks that they have to do at the job that they need to complete are not archetypally appealing. And interestingly, this is where it gets really awesome. So interestingly enough, if you ask people what they enjoy most about their job, they frequently say, the people I work with, that's what makes my job fun. They might say their colleagues are awesome. And you know why they feel that? Because camaraderie is archetypal. Our ancient ancestors lived in tribes and exchanged resources to survive and support one another. For example, men went out to hunt together and collaborated in order to achieve the goal of slaying an animal to feed themselves and survive. And that behavioral pattern is coded into the genome, which is then appealed to when working together with other humans to achieve something, to achieve a goal. So, in conclusion, people are not really passionate about their jobs nowadays because the actual tasks of their jobs are very modern and don't resonate with the genome or the archetypal behavioral patterns that are anticipated by the genome, because the genome is ancient, but these modern jobs, some of which you have only been created in the last sort of decade, they have, let's say, been created at such a speed which cannot be incorporated and absorbed by the genome in order for the genome to, let's say, reconfigure itself to let's incorporate that kind of a job as a variable needed to find fulfillment and meaning. Because, the genome is configured to help you survive. And what you needed to do 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago to survive is very different to what you need to do today. Today it's really all about money, whereas back in the day it might have been something else. Or let's say 3,000-4,000 years ago, what you would have had to do to survive might have been very different. I wouldn't say actually that different, but like the details of, like, now today you need to earn money because we live in a capitalist system where it's, you have the responsibility in some sense to build your own wealth and survive. That would have been quite different a few thousand years ago, I think. I'm not quite sure, but I think. Yeah. So please leave a comment below tell me what your opinion is on this idea or this conception of why people are not passionate, or some people aren't passionate about their jobs nowadays, or whether you think it's rubbish, because this concept is quite far-fetched actually, and I've actually never heard anybody talk about it, but it just came to my mind recently that this is probably why people aren't passionate about their jobs. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Thank you for listening.